Today in Baldur's Gate 3, we're going to be making one of the most versatile builds in the game. This multi-class build is going to be a very powerful frontline martial character, but also have access to almost every spell. Now you might be thinking that I cracked some sort of, crazy code in the game that nobody's ever done before, but no. It's a very simple multi-class, but very effective. If this is your first time on the channel, y'all, with my Baldur's Gate 3 builds here, I like to go with a strong foundation. Usually don't like to rely on gear too much because I want you to be able to plug and play this at any point in your campaign, and then gear, equipment, it's only going to make this build even better. So if that sounds good to you, consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and let's get started. Now, every great adventure starts at level 1 with Shadowheart. You know it, I know it, we all know it. So Wizard is what we're going to be doing for our class in the beginning here. Cantrip wise, go ahead and take away all these. We need at least Booming Blade. Other than that, kind of up to you. If you're somebody that likes to use Minor Illusion, this can be good. Friendship or Magic Hand would probably be my next pick. Or if you want a range cantrip, Ray of Frost, this is good. Shadowheart already comes with Firebolt, so if you want that, go ahead and pick that up here. Spell wise, let's go ahead and clear this all out, and let's get the heavy hitters here. I'm going to be honest, in the beginning of this build here, you're going to want to be mostly focusing on being like a normal spellcaster. We're not going to transition into a, I would say, more full martial character until later on. And honestly, in Act 1 here, Magic Missile is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. This is a fantastic spell. One of the best spells in the game because it just upcasts so well, so reliable. So we want Magic Missile. We also want Mage Armor for sure. And then probably Shield, and then if you don't have another character who is casting Longstrider, make sure to pick that up there. Enhanced Sleep could say the same thing. And then for our last slot here, I would just go with Chromatic Orb just to make sure that you have a spell that can kind of like cover all of the elements. Let's move on to our abilities, and we're going to want something like, let's go ahead and move this over, something like this actually, where we have our Constitution at 16 and our Dexterity at 16, and then Intelligence, we only really need it at 14. Something like Magic Missile, Mage Armor, Shield, none of those are actually scaling with our Intelligence. Same goes for Booming Blade. So we're setting ourselves up for, again, the long term here, and we're going to be completely fine with the spells that we've chosen. So this is basically the character creator, level 1. This is what our baseline is. And yeah, let's move on to level 2. Now, at level 2, every great level 2 starts with Shadowheart. I thought we'd do a running joke there, but it's actually not that funny. Let's pick up our subclass here, and we're going with Bladesinging, the latest addition to the Wizard subclass. Now, our class features here, we're getting these Blade Song powers that are going to allow us to use the Blade Song. It's kind of like a stance that you can invoke that you can't be having, you can't wear any armor with, so no medium, no heavy armor. We are allowed to wear light armor though. We also can't have a shield, so really leaning into those one-handed weapons, if not dual wielding. On top of that, we pick up this training in Warren Song. This is going to allow us to be proficient in light armor, but also allow us to use any one of these weapons here. This weapon choice does not matter as far as what you pick. Like, you're not picking a dagger and then you can only use daggers. No, this will just give you a dagger. Even though we're level 2, we should have basically, I would say, a good array of just basic weapons already. For our spell, really entirely up to you. I think we got everything we wanted. Something like False Life can be pretty good because we need to stack a lot of survivability because we don't have the advantage of being able to use a shield or some of the heavier armor. So we're going to need a lot of help from our spells and those choices to make sure that we can survive in the front line. And something like False Life, that can help us out here. Other than that, kind of pick what you want. I like Thunder Wave just for a push ability. And yeah, we can move on to level 3. Now at level 3, we pick up 2 of the most important spells for this build. First one here is Shadow Blade. Similar to Magic Missile, this just scales beautifully as the game goes on and is a very heavy hitter. This Shadow Blade basically does more damage than a lot of the two-handed weapons. So that is just, it's a crazy amount of damage here on top of having advantage when you are in a dimly lit area. Really fantastic spell here. The other spell that we need to pick up is Misty Step. One of the biggest banes to all martial characters, especially in Baldur's Gate 3, is a martial character's their movement, their mobility. So many like fighters and paladins that don't pick up Misty Step or Athlete, they just kind of struggled to get around the battlefield. I had to play through with a buddy, and he did never use Misty Step. It was first time playing through, and he just felt like he couldn't do anything. He was just using a bow the entire time, even though he was a paladin. I'm like, dude, use Misty Step, use Misty Step. And so Misty Step here, fantastic. Don't forget it, use it. I feel like it's something that I haven't really emphasized in a while, but Misty Step is just one of the most important spells in the game. And that's it for level 3. Let's go ahead and move on to level 4. And at level 4, we're going to get our feats there, but let's first, we're just going to pick any cantrip. Blade Ward's actually a lot better than a lot of people like to give it credit for, so I'm just going to take that. And then for our spells, I do want some AoE damage for in case there's a pack of enemies, so something like Shatter, this is really good. Other than that, Blur can be a great choice for concentration. So can something like Hold Person, but again, remember, our intelligence, we're not worried about it too much. So something like Hold Person, that spell save DC that the enemies have to roll against, not going to be as high as it could be if we were more dedicated to just using our spells. Something like Blur, on the other hand, again, doesn't take into effect our intelligence. So that's why I would maybe take Blur here. We can get around this later on, and we'll kind of talk about it then with a cloak, which I think would be really good for this build. But right now, that's what we're going to take. As far as our feats are concerned, because we are going to be more on the melee side, Savage Attacker is always really good. But other than that, I hate to say it, but kind of boring. Just always bumping up your dexterity is going to be really good. You can get around using because we're going to have 2 feats, so you can get around using your other feat to pick something like a Savage Attacker instead of going double dipping into bumping up your dexterity. Again, if you have the equipment for it, right? Because having 20 dexterity really just benefits this build all the way around. So if you can get around that, Savage Attacker, great choice there. Alert, always a really good choice. If you actually wanted to use two-handed weapons with this build, that'd be completely fine because there are versatile long swords that'll be scaling off of our dexterity as well. So we wouldn't be losing out because we don't have any like strength. So Great Weapon Master can actually work. Now for this video, we already took Shadowblade, so we're not going to worry about it, but just know I'm a big fan of a Great Weapon Master kind of Bladesinger, and nobody else is really. Anyways, but for right now, ability improvement, dexterity, I feel like it's just what we need, so let's go ahead and move on. And at level 5, we get another Bladesong power charge. Now, we haven't talked too much about that Bladesong stance as far as what you should be doing in combat encounters. We'll do that after level 6, so just hold on about that. Spell-wise, we pick up another very important spell, and that is Haste. Now, obviously, if you have another party member that's kind of like a haste battery, something like a sorcerer is really good at it, you don't need to take haste then. But we're going to be very self-sufficient with this build. This could almost be a solo build now that I think about it. We're just making a lot of great choices, and we have so many options available to us. Very powerful. But we're going to be self-sufficient for picking up haste. Another good option is something like Mirror Image. Again, stacking on spells that help out with our survivability because, again, we don't have medium or heavy armor. But Mirror Image, really good choice there. Fireball, I always love Fireball. But remember, we are a wizard, which means we can scribe any of the scrolls we find. And Fireball, it's pretty common, so I wouldn't actually pick it up. I would go with these 2 choices. And let's go ahead and move on to level 6. Now at level 6, we pick up our extra attack. We get it a level later than the other martial characters or dedicated martial characters. And that's okay because the trade-off is that we get a crap ton of spells to work with here. Spell-wise for this level, I would take something like Counterspell, mostly for Act 3 because some enemies try to cast some nasty spells on your party. So it's good to have somebody who can block that and counterspell them. Other than that, take what you want. Maybe taking Knock would be a good choice, especially if you don't have a rogue. But other than that, let's move to a short gameplay section where we can see how this build is shaping up and kind of the gameplay loop that we're aiming for. Now, really quick, showing off this build thus far, there is a lot going on. So, prep skill wise, we're going to use Longstrider. Really good if you don't have something like a Ranger. Wizards do it just fine. Another prep skill, Shadowblade, upcasting it to level 3. Does that 3 to 24 damage. Pair that with Booming Blade, and then at the end of Act 2, you can get that Resonant Stone, which is going to double your psychic damage. Again, plus Booming Blade. Oof, a lot of melee damage coming out of this class here. Other than that, if you know a fight is coming up, Haste, Mirror Image, and then Bladesong. We'll talk more about Bladesong when we get into the fight, but all 3 of these combined are going to bump our AC up a lot. Now, we do have another prep skill, Mage Armor, but at this moment, I'm using the Spider Silk Armor here, and this is light armor, meaning that can't use it with Mage Armor. But I'm using this armor because of the advantage to Constitution saving throws, aka Haste. Really good pairing there. If you don't have the Spider Silk Armor or you don't want to wear it, the Graceful Cloth, Use this with mage armor. Gonna bump our dexterity up to more to 20. And then you could also wear gloves like bracers of defense for +2 more AC. Crazy amount of ways you can build this this class out, this build out, especially again if you have other party members. You know, you gotta share gear every now and then, so you can make a lot of things work with this build. I am using the Diadem of Arcane Synergy in our head slot. Weapon wise, Undermountain King here for our offhand, basically just a stat stick to help out our critical rolls. Bow of Awareness, this is for initiative, just to help that out. And then ring wise, we have the Ring of Twilight in heavily obscured or lightly obscured area. Again, more AC. And then because, like I said at the beginning of the video, until this martial side kind of gets rolling, I would mainly stick to just using Magic Missile as a like a regular spellcaster. So that's the gear, that's the equipment. Let's go ahead and do some of these prep skills and then get into a bit of trouble. And you're gonna see how high our AC is spiking here at Act 2, and we're only level 6. So with all those combined, let's go ahead and go into turn-based mode so we're not wasting any of those turns. Our AC is up to 31. Oof, really good. A lot of help from Mirror Image here. But even after Mirror Image, say, goes away, don't forget that we have the reaction ability, Shield. Guys, we are so freaking tanky. And let's show that off a little bit. We're just gonna run into this next room where surely nothing will go wrong. Our movement is actually crazy, well, because of Bladesong. These guys want to talk to us. Yeah, we're Shard. You guys, we're on the same side. Not really. Okay, looking at Bladesong here, we get extra AC from it. We get extra movement from it, and we also get help out. It also helps out our Constitution saving throws. That is just, it's a crazy amount of benefits, and honestly, I would just use the Bladesinging form here, stance here, the entire time, at least for most fights, and not actually trigger Bladesong Climax, because once you use Bladesong Climax, the stance or the form, it goes away. But Bladesong Climax here, every time we use a spell, it's going to give us a damage charge. Every time we use our melee weapon, it's going to give us a healing charge. So if we use Bladesong Climax here, we'll leap into an area and we'll do damage to the enemies, and we'll heal ourselves and allies that are in the area. But I wouldn't use this unless it's like the end of the fight, where it's a very crucial moment. 90% of the time, I'm just throwing this on me for more AC and the movement buffs, pairing it with, again, haste. It's really, really strong. I like using the climax, but you really don't need to. So for this fight here, we can see that, you know, you got the Umbral Tremors here, and they are resistant to, or they're immune to psychic damage, and they're also immune to thunder damage, which is kind of our bread and butter, which is a little unfortunate. But because we're so versatile, and we have so many options, we can use Magic Missile, and we're just going to absolutely blow these things up. How much do we really need to upcast? I think this will do. Go ahead and blow it up, the first one up. Didn't work out all the way, but God, this is the great thing about Magic Missile. We'll send one over there, and then we'll blow up the other one. And 2 of them gone. We do have some things we can do with our bonus action, like Misty Step, but we are crazy mobile. We can get it to a lot of spots. Now these guys, we actually want them to hit us, so you can just see how hard and difficult we can make that. Our offhand can be used to do a little bit of damage. Not a lot though, because we don't have a fighting form, but it is good to, say, finish off a target that has like 1 health, because there's nothing worse than that. Let's go ahead and end our turn, and let's just see how difficult we are to hit for them. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Snooze you lose. Alright, we do need to close this Umbral Tear here. Go ahead and spend our spell slots for that, really to guarantee that it's gone, and then the rest, whew, you guys had this coming. Finish him off. And hopefully our skeleton allies will actually do something. So even though Mirror Image is gone, this is what I was talking about. We have the reaction shield. That just makes us very difficult to hit. Our armor is up to 26. There we go, 1 down. Oh, Lester the skeleton, he's dead. Shield again for us. Pop. Now, I talked about not using that climax, but look how many charges we have built up. 9 for healing and 6 for damage. So that might come into play. That one's down. So I think we actually will use the climax, especially at the end, after the end of this turn here. Little stab there. Oh, and then there was just the two of us, darling. Now we've taken a beating, that's for sure. But again, 13 healing charges, 6 damage charges. Yeah, let's go ahead and make sure we end this fight though properly. Let's see if we can do a fair bit of damage. Yeah, we don't want to kill him though, not yet. This is how we want to do it. Ooh, 44 health, and we are all the way healed up. This is what I was talking about. It's kind of a solo build, a little risky. One of the downsides to this build so far is that we don't have a lot of health, but we are very hard to hit. So hopefully you guys can see that. Let's go back to leveling because I did say this was a multi-class build. Now level 7, back to leveling, is when you can multi-class, and I'm just thinking we keep it real simple. Paladin, baby, Paladin. Now your subclass that you go for as far as your Paladin, really not that important. We're not using too many of we're not going to be focusing on these oaths here. So I'll go with Vengeance, and that's mainly because you could go with 3 levels into this multi-classing into Paladin here, but I would recommend actually just stopping after 2, and very simply that's just because of Divine Smite here. It has nothing to do with the Charisma modifier, it has nothing to do with our Intelligence modifier. This will work just if we hit a target, which is Dexterity for us. So 2 levels into Paladin, and now this makes our melee damage just skyrocket because as a wizard we have access to a lot of spell slots. Again, and or if you're using Booming Blade and it crits, you can stack Divine Smite on top of that as well. Just kind of crazy because again, we don't have that much health. So instead we decided to shift our focus into just doing more damage. We do pick up a fighting style. Unfortunately, dual wield isn't one of them. I would just go with defense, more AC. I feel like I just keep talking about things that are bumping up our AC, but it is important for us because we don't have that much health, so it is important. But yeah, at this point, level 8, the build is done. We have everything that I would consider crucial for this build, and the rest of the way is kind of just up to you. Now for this video and for the rest of the build, I'm just gonna quickly level Wizard the rest of the way, and we'll have a very brief gameplay section at the end. Now at level 9, why I said you could go one more level into Paladin, especially for Vengeance here, is just because of Vow of Enmity. Cast this on yourself. All your attack rolls are going to have advantage for your melee strikes, and it has nothing to do with Charisma. It has nothing to do with our Intelligence modifier. It just is based off if you hit the target, so Dexterity. That's why that's a good choice. But for this build and for this video, we're just going to stay Wizard the rest of the way. And the only spells that I want to pick up are basically spells that do area damage. So Ice Storm here, definitely a crucial pickup. Something like Confusion, this can be good for some bosses, or if you don't have somebody who can remove Curse, especially in the late game or Act 3, remove Curse is pretty crucial for some puzzles. But let's continue on, just quickly go through these last levels. Spell slots here, I'm going to pick up Confusion, and then maybe something like, I don't know, Fire Shield. This could be another spell that we stack on top of ourselves as like a prep. I don't know if I'd go that crazy. I don't know, maybe I would, depending on the fight. For our feet, we're not using the Graceful Cloth, so I am going to be boring and bump up Dexterity again, I know. Not a fun feat to pick up, but it is effective. Level 9 for Wizard here, so level 11 we get another Bladesong Power Charge. Now these Bladesong Power Charge, I didn't mention it earlier, but they come back on long rest, not short rest. So we do want a fair bit of these stacked up in general. And then spell-wise, our last, we get our level 5 spells, Cone of Cold, love Cone of Cold, another area option, and then Hold Monster, always handy. And then for level 12, our last level, this is why I want to go Wizard all the way, is because of Bladesong Defense. So we can use a spell slot if we take damage, and negate 5 damage based on the spell slot level. So level 1, 5 damage, level 2 spell slot, 10 damage, so on and so forth. Another great survivability option. We also get a cantrip, pick what you want. Spell-wise, again, pick what you want. Let's go ahead and head to the last gameplay section. It was a lovely day in the park until we arrived. Now, for the gameplay section here, as far as equipment, we got a few pieces that we can trade out. I mentioned a cloak that is really good for this build, and that is Cloak of Displacement, which you get in Act 3. This will essentially give us Blur, instead of having to cast it as a spell and use it as a concentration. Very powerful. I also put on the Ring of Protection, more AC. I feel like a broken record at this point. And then we could take off something like the Ring of Twilight, and another good option is the Risky Ring. This makes it so we really don't need to use that other level in Paladin for Vow of Enmity. risky ring, it does a fine job at it all on its own. Now, some enemies in Act 3, like the Steel Watch, are completely immune to psychic damage. So using something like Steelmaker, sure, that'd be pretty good, because most of our damage is coming from Booming Blade and or Divine Smites here. So if you run into something that again is immune to psychic damage, don't worry, you should still be absolutely fine. Now let's go through our prep skills, and then this day in the garden's gonna turn into a day in hell for some of these NPCs. Mostly just the fist guys. Probably gonna break our oath too, but oh well. Goddamn, look how stacked we are with 34 AC and all of our buffs. Now just as a reminder, you do not have to do that much prep for every single fight. I'm only doing it here to show you your potential, really. And also because I'm doing this solo, so I want to make sure that we put on a good show. So let's go ahead and open up this fight here. Oh, this poor mage. We'll give him a shot here. We'll just use magic missile on him. How about that? Hit him a couple times. Let him get angry, bring all his friends with him. Oh, that guy looks sick. All the mages look like that? I think it's the first time I've seen this NPC version of the fist. Anyways, he's got to go. Oh, they have a Steel Watch in their mist too. Fudge. I forgot all about that. Don't worry. Not going to be a problem. First thing we're going to do, run in there and just hit him with a Booming Blade. If it crits, great. If it misses, well, that's not good. Divine Smites here, they do only upscale to level 4, but beautiful thing about being a wizard here is we have lots of spells slots to burn through, on top of having our arcane recovery to regain some of those spell slots. Really kind of stacked here. We're going to give a little ground because we are super mobile. Catch us if you can, coppers. Jettison, you are under arrest. Wow. It's funny when Steel Watch jump. All right, now we got to get rid of the Steel Watch, and immune to psychic damage, by the way. So not going to be very good for us to try to hit it in melee. I think our best option is to just go ahead and hit it with probably Cone of Cold. Yeah, let's hit it with Cone of Cold twice. If we get him low enough, he'll just self-destruct. And that'll be that for this guy. So go ahead, hit him with one Cone of Cold. Decent amount of damage. We'll hit him again with Cone of Cold. We are burning through our spell slots. That should go without saving. And okay, we're fine right now. And we are also building up our damage charges, healing charges. We got everything working for us right now. Let's go ahead and just go hit him. Just go poke him with our offhand. Yeah, take that. He's not going to be able to hit us. Or if he does, we have plenty of ways to mitigate damage or just block it. Get immune to psychic damage, and then we did 2 damage with our offhand. Bravo us, bravo. Very overpowered we are. Good dodge there. And another dodge there. Never gonna hit us, never gonna hit us. Oh, never gonna hit us, never gonna hit us. AC's at 25. You know what? We'll hold off on the Steel Watch here for a second because I think this is the cleric just came in and wanted some of the goods, and just a little bit more damage. And we're just gonna finish him off here. 1 down, and let's go ahead and move on over to here. Let's just take out all the squishy ones. Oh, good miss. Oh, and a retaliation. Okay, well, good try. Hit him again, and then we do have an offhand. If this crits, we could have a Divine Smite just like that. That's why I love the Knife of the Hill Mountain or Under Mountain King. Really just a great weapon to put in your offhand. Get over here! Ow, dude, what the hell? What did I do to you? Oh man, we have burned through a lot of spells. Oh, we need to be careful. Go ahead and just use a Booming Blade. And we missed, that's great. We hit him once though. 31 damage. Oh, so much damage because of our Shadow Blade is scaled up. And he's dead. Oh my god. That is a lot of damage. And really the only way we can really hurt this guy is with these Divine Smites. And we're going to have to beat this Steel Watch down because he's immune to our biggest damage dealer. You had this coming, Steel Watch. You had this coming. I said you had this coming. Take that and that. You want a little bit more? Take that. Magic missile from our necklace. Take that, you bastard. There we go, baby. What a gameplay section, am I right, guys? Just nothing better than a Steel Watch coming in and kind of messing up the whole power fantasy of this build, considering it's completely immune to psychic damage. There are ways around that. I didn't really prepare for that. I just kind of went in, shooting from the hip. And you know, sometimes it is the way it is. But at least we're alive, so that counts for something. Alright y'all, that is the build. That is the video. I love Bladesinging Wizard, and it just feels like a natural fit to throw in some Divine Smites with it from Paladin. Let me know how you guys like Bladesinging Wizard and what you like to multi-class it with. Overall, there can be a little bit of upkeep with this Wizard build, but hell, it's just fun to have all the versatility options. And I didn't even get into scribing any spells that you're going to be picking up as scrolls in the campaign. It's just going to add more to this kit. It's just like sky's the limit as far as like the potential for this build. A lot of options. But yeah, that is it for this video. As far as content for the week, I think we'll just alternate between Baldur's Gate 3 or Tactics content. I'm not tired of making videos on either one of those games, and I think we're gonna reserve the later parts of the week, like Thursday or Friday. We're just talking about like MMO RPGs. This is like an RPG channel, and I love MMOs. Right now, I just have a lot of things to talk about with Final Fantasy 14. It might not mesh well with the channel, but hell, we're gonna do it anyways. But yeah, guys, that is it. I will see you next time. Peace and take care.